to Mobility Core and Restore, there has been a request for how to stop slouching. Great, great content. Interestingly enough, last night I was scrolling the internet as I do before bed. Not a healthy habit, but here we are. And I came across this video that talked about how years ago we were taught to like stand tall, suck in your gut, pull your shoulders back, and that is called good posture. And it's really not. And I kind of always knew this, but I just thought I was bad at it. And like I never really thought about it until last night. So when you're doing that whole puff up the chest thing, you're also getting these ribs to go pa-ching. And when these ribs go pa-ching, it's actually also sending your hips back. And it's just doing a whole bunch of not great things for us. So a better way to think about it, instead of pulling the chest forward, is to just externally rotate the shoulders. So we'll be working a lot on shoulder external rotation and also growing tall, like lifting the ribs up without forcing this anterior tilt of the pelvis and flare of the ribs. So that's our theme of the day. Um, Very timely request from the room. I love it. In order to facilitate opening in these tissues before we can strengthen the back body, I love a supported fish, aka heart bench. How shocking. So 2 blocks to the back of the mat, one on the tall setting, one on the second highest setting the long way. I like about a hand's distance between. This said, different bodies like different things. I do have some students that really like to lower this top block. I have some students that prefer the other block to go horizontal and it goes on their shoulder blades. You can do what feels right for you. But if you have this setup, I usually bring this corner to the spot just below my shoulder blades. On my body, it's where the bra strap sits. And take your time to set this up well. We'll be here for a little bit and it should feel good. So if you don't like where things are sitting, you can adjust the bottom block up or down a vertebrae. And remember that your blocks have 3 height settings. So you can adjust those as well to make it deeper. You'll have a higher block on the low block or a lower block for the head block. You can let the legs be anywhere that is restful to you. Sometimes I like to just keep the feet planted with the knees bent. Sometimes I like to bring the knees wide. I feel like today I'm just going to kind of extend away with a little bend in my knees. Similarly, the arms can be anywhere for the first few breaths. Maybe they rest on the chest and on the tummy so you can connect to the power of your breath and your heartbeats. Maybe you take them wide, bending the elbows for a little more intensity. You might even actively think about reaching the elbows further away. That might get you a little more action through like the sides of the chest. And depending on where your tightness is, some days I like to catch opposite elbow overhead, wrapping my fingers around the elbows and just let gravity take the weight. In my body, that does cause those bottom ribs to pop up, and I'm okay with that for right now. Although you might explore gently pulling them back in a few times if that's the route that you took. Wherever you are, start to notice how your body feels. Identifying areas where there is tension, and also acknowledging spaces that feel good. You can start to deepen your breath, inhaling through the nose, sending the breath all the way down in the bowl of the pelvis, filling up the belly, the chest. Easy exhale out, no need to push or force. Hmm. Well, get right into shoulder mobility. If you're having a nap time day and you want to just keep laying with the arms where they are, that is also fine. But if you're up for it, we'll reach the arms towards the sky, spin the palms to face each other, and then really reach. Feel your shoulders come into protraction. Those wings on the back kind of spread like they're wrapping towards your side body. As you inhale, bring the arms up towards your ears. Your thumbs may or may not find the floor. Mine don't, but I like to pretend that they will someday. As you exhale, bend the elbows. Shoulder blades come together and down your back as the arms float down by the sides and eventually reach back up towards the sky in protraction. Keep this going, inhaling the arms up and over, exhaling them together, down, or back and down, I guess. Sometimes I think about the motion of the arms, and sometimes I think about the motion of my shoulder blades. So once you've got the pattern in the arms, do draw your mind's eye to those big bones on your back. Just feel it out what they're doing. We'll take three more big breaths. For the next breath, let the arms rest somewhere neutral. Just take a second, scan your body, notice if anything already feels like it's shifted. And if you're having a nap time day, you are welcome to stay here for much longer. It still counts. Otherwise, bend the knees to plant the feet and roll to one side to come on up. We'll take ourselves all the way up to stand. Big transition. If it's hot where you are, feel free to take what you need on the way there. Once we'll arrive, we'll take a couple shoulder rolls. Similar motion in the shoulder blades here. Different orientation of gravity and different orientation of where the arm bones are. I think the easiest variation is with the arms by the sides, but if you want this to be spicier, you could bring the arms out in front, up, back, and down. The arms add a lot of weight, so that could be a nice way to build a little extra strength, but my body is saying, no, thank you. I've done enough arms over the last few days that we don't need the extra weight right now. Take a couple circles the other way, trying to get the biggest range of motion you can. Oh, and then give a little shake. I always feel tension coming into strange places there. We'll take a ear to shoulder, roll the chin towards the chest, and then towards the other ear. And either do a few more half circles like this, or if your body says it's a good idea, you can do some full circles of the neck. Mhm. All right. Bring yourself to neutral. Right ear to right shoulder. Right hand's going to come and give a little self assist. Instead of thinking about smushing the neck down, think about elongating the neck. Left arm sweeps out. Plug the shoulder down so you're creating a lot of space between that left ear and left shoulder. If this feels perfect, stay. Or you're invited to roll your chin towards your armpit, seeing if you can find a spot that wants a little bit of love. And when you find that spot, breathe into it as if you could fill it up with your air. All right, bring the head back to neutral if you were tilted down. Spread the left fingers wide. Imagine you're grabbing a doorknob. We're going to twist the doorknob. See if you can get not just the fingers to move and not just the elbow, but the upper arm as well. So I'm rotating from the head of the shoulder. Let this motion be so dramatic that your chest starts to move. Feel what your shoulder blade is doing on your back. As I internally rotate, the bottom of my shoulder blade is tilted up away from my body. And as I externally rotate, that bottom part slides down. We'll take a couple more like this. Option to add a little engagement. When you are in the external rotation, bicep and elbow pit towards the sky, Think about pulling that left shoulder blade down as if you were tucking it into your back pocket. So I externally rotate and then I just slide it down just to turn that little muscle on. Sometimes we just have to remind the muscles that they have to fire at the same time. That's fine. I forget things too. All right. And then just take some easy internal, external rotations, maybe a little bit faster. And then raise the arm up to parallel. Ooh, I am feeling all of the after effects down here of that little put it in the pocket. All right, once you are at parallel, externally rotate, elbow pit and palm to the sky. Keep the upper arm externally rotated. Just flip your wrist. So you're making a little stop sign. Beautiful. From here, shrug that shoulder up and then push the shoulder away, like you're pressing out through your palm. Keep that sense of push as you slowly lower the arm. This is a nerve glide, so it's going to feel super weird. Know that you are in control. If it gets too weird, you can always panic bail and shake it out. Whew. Oh my goodness gracious. When you get to the bottom, take a shake, take a wiggle, take a little circle of the shoulders. Notice if it feels like you have an entirely different upper trap situation. Mine feel dramatically different. Let's balance that out. Left ear to left shoulder. Left hand gives a little self assist. Right arm sweeps down. Plug the shoulder down. Either stay here or go looking for the spot that needs the most love. Sometimes I like to imagine that spot like a balloon, and I'm literally blowing up the balloon as I breathe. That's obviously not how it works, but sometimes that visual makes little cracks and pops happen. Start to bring the head up to neutral. Spread the right fingers wide, grab your imaginary doorknob. Take some slow rotations. Just figure out the movement first. Get the initial cracks and pops out. And then next time you are externally rotated, slide the shoulder blade into the pocket. Just adding a little bit extra. Turning the low traps and the lats on. Neurons that wire together, fire together. And so just teaching our brain that when we are externally rotated, we can use those mid-back muscles to hold the shape and then let go of that extra work. Maybe it'll start to happen automatically. Take it a little bit faster. And if your arm hasn't already accidentally floated up to parallel, do that. Mine kind of ended up there on its own accord. Next time you are externally rotated, stay. Flip just the wrist. Shrug the shoulder in. Push out through the palm. Keep the push slowly lower. Breathe. Whew. The stickiest spot is probably one that you should stay and breathe a little longer in. But do what feels okay to you because it's uncomfortable, but it's usually worth it for me. When you get to the bottom, take whatever makes you feel less freaked out. My wrists are somehow feeling things after all of this. It's like the tension is moving down my arms. So, just in case you're having a similar experience, let's do a little release for the elbows. So, arms straight out in front of you, palms to the sky. We're going to lead with the palms, bend the elbows, flip the palms, straighten the elbows. Just a few of these. Notice if there is cracking or popping, or maybe you feel absolutely nothing. And then switch, lead with the backs of the hands. The two bones in the forearms, the radius and ulna, they cross over each other when you do this. And so sometimes there are lots of feelings and sometimes there's nothing. but good to go through that range of motion anyway. Cool. Let that go and then make fists. Take some slow circles of the wrists. So pinky fingers towards each other. Roll it away. Pink thumbs away from each other. Curl. Oof. Going slow is actually much harder than going fast. You just try to get the biggest range of motion you can. Oof, oof. And then go the other direction with your circles. Mobility is strength training at the end range of motion. And by making these really slow, difficult circles, you're building strength. When you've had enough, you can shake it out. Plenty of good work. All right, upper body's feeling reasonably warm. Um, Instead of continuing to go down, we're going to go up from the bottom. So take some toe to heel rocks, shift the weight to the toes, shift the weight to the heels. And you can let the hips be kind of dramatic here, really popping forward when you're on the toes, going behind you when you're on the heels. You can let the chest come forward when you're on the heels. One of the next times that you're on the toes, try to catch a moment of float. Hug everything into midline, really ground down through the space between the big toe and the second toe, like the ball mound. Balance is not working for me today. Some days are like that. Take another couple of rocks. One of the next times that you're on the heels, use the arms wherever is useful. Try to catch a moment of float. All right, enough of that. Take a little side to side of the knees and the ankles, rolling from the outer edge of the foot to the inner edge of the foot. And then plant the feet, spread the toes so you've got lots of surface area with the floor. Soften the knees and circle those knees around the ankles while keeping the feet on the floor. All of the cracks and pops come out here. Circle it the other way. Bring that circle up into the hips. Let it be dramatic. You can soften the knees and firm the glutes as the hips come forward. That'll keep your low back happy. And reverse. Beautiful. Hips over knees over ankles. Isolating the rib cage. I'll come a little closer for camera purposes. Pop it forward. Feel your shoulder blades come together. Pop it back. Feel your shoulder blades spread. A few here, going whatever tempo is working for you. As you pull it back, also pull your belly button back to your spine and think about trying to get these ribs to tuck themselves in. So really almost arching and hollowing. Couple more. Cool. And then side to side. Try to bump the bottom ribs to one side, bottom ribs to the other side. I just realized I could slow these down and get much more mileage from it, and that makes it harder. But that's probably a good thing. All right. And then we'll do front, side, back, side. Either take two more of that or start to smooth the spaces between out. And then reverse. All right. Let's do some side bends. So hands to your side seams of your pants. Reach for one knee, reach for the other knee. You can take the feet a little bit wider if balance is a challenge for you. Maybe you can even get slightly past the knee. Try to keep the weight in both feet. If this is feeling good, the top arm can start to Get this little lifting sensation of the ribs. I'm like dragging my fingers up my skin and being like, hey, open. It's nice. It's like a little yoga self assist. Like I'm in the room with you. If you want to take that further, think about pointing the elbow to the sky. Mhm. And be intentional with pointing that elbow to the sky. Really feel what muscles are doing that. Where is that coming from? If you want to take that further, you can start to reach the arm up and over, but you don't always have to go all of the way. Sometimes doing less with a little more intentionality is actually better. Whew. Take like one more to each side, wherever you are. Okay. All right. We're doing good. Um, Bringing it down. How are we on time? Not the best. It's gonna be okay. This could be like a whole multi-hour session. Let's come down to a lunge. We'll bring the right leg forward, finding this vertical 90-90 situation. Once you get there, so my hips are over my back knee, blocks are in the vicinity so that I have help if I need it. Hands to the hips. Take some tucks and tilts of your pelvis here, rounding and arching the low back. Let it be dramatic. And as you're tucking, I want you to start to think about your pubic bone and your low ribs trying to come towards each other. So these two spaces are coming together, coming apart. Like if there was a string, it would be shortening and lengthening. Next time you are tucked, holding those two places together, stay and take a big roll of the shoulders back and then externally rotate. Slide them into your pocket. You could float the hands or you could bring the fingertips to blocks. Shift the weight forward a little bit, bend the front knee slightly more, leaning into that left hip flexor, and then stand back up. Just four more like this. You can always walk the blocks a little further behind you so that you can have the fingertips on them. Keep lifting your pubic bone and your up and pulling your floating ribs down towards it like they are connected. Beautiful. All right, switch it out. Nothing fancy today. Just a little switcheroo. Left leg forward, right leg back, hands to hips. You've got a few breaths here to just explore arching and rounding. As I tuck under, my glutes turn on. As I arch, my hip flexors are kind of turning on to pull my thigh and belly towards each other. Imagine that string between the pubic bone and the floating ribs starting to pull you a little bit deeper as those two places come closer together. For three, for two. Last one, stay. Pubic bone, almost like a little hook, wrapping up and over, trying to connect into those floating ribs pulling back. Externally rotate the shoulders, lean into the front leg, push for the front foot to come back up. And just smooth that motion out. Keep your front body tight, pubic bone lifting up, floating ribs down. For three, for two, for one. All right, we're going to stand back up one more time. There was one thing I forgot to do there, and that was one other little stretch for our shoulders. Come to a wide fold, or like a wide-legged stance. Interlace the hands behind your back. Pull the shoulder blades towards each other. Think about externally rotating, so you're like puffing up the chest a little bit. Maybe you can get the heels of the hands together. I'm imagining a fantasy world where my elbows touch, but it is definitely not happening for me. You can soften the knees a little bit. On an inhale, look up, start to slide the fists down your glutes, even if it's like a millimeter. Breathe here. Feel the expansion in your chest. Feel the shoulder blades coming towards each other and down into your pockets. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, forward fold. You can have a big bend in the knees here, bringing the belly towards or between the thighs. Let the top of the head reach towards the floor. Maybe your fists start to reach up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're really mobile in this direction and your fists can start to work their way towards the floor. 3 big breaths. Expand the back body as you inhale. And as you exhale, maybe the arms come a little lower. Last one. Release the mind. Bring the arms towards the floor. Take a second there. Maybe sway the hips side to side. And then toe heel the feet into about hips width distance. Little bend of the knees. Tuck the tail. One vertebrae at a time. Rise up to stand. Maybe you noticed that as you were rising, you ended with your arms in this lovely external rotation. Maybe yes, maybe no. All right, now we're heading to the floor. Sorry for that very chunky transition. I don't think you need your blocks. All the way down to your backs. A little bit of core is a good idea, specifically for the upper abs because, um, you know, those floating ribs, they want to pop up and we can kind of pull them down. So we'll start simple. You can interlace the hands behind the head, and we're not even going to lift the head and shoulders yet, so don't panic. I want you to feel the parts of your back that are touching the floor. For me, it's my sacrum, that flat bone in the back of my hips, and then like the middle of the rib cage and the shoulders and the head. There is space on my low back where my low ribs are and the back of my neck. The neck space can stay. We don't need to mess with that. But for now, tuck your tail under and then pull your floating ribs down. Feel those muscles start to turn on. And then think about rounding your low back a little bit more, pressing into the feet, trying to curl your pubic bone up and around towards your floating ribs. If your knees just went pa-ching out to the sides, gently hug them back into parallel. Beautiful. This is just our starting position. I know, this is insane. So you're welcome to keep the hands behind the head if you feel like this is a good place for them as we do little crunches here. Or you are also welcome to reach them forward. They can be on the ground to help stabilize. They can even come to the thighs to be like a thing that you're reaching towards. But we're going to go for 10. Lead with your sternum. Take an inhale while you're down. Exhale, sternum lifts. The head is just along for the ride. So if you need to support the head, do. For 3, for 4, for 5. So the low back is staying down. The pubic bone is still reaching for the floating ribs. And as we come up, we're really contracting the area around those floating ribs. For 3, for 2, stay up on the next one. Beautiful. Reach the arms forward if they're not already. And then think as if you could reach your ankles. We're going to go a little side to side. So reach towards one ankle, reach towards the other. Little side to sides. Keep the shoulder blades off the ground if you can here. Keep pulling your pubic bone towards your floating ribs. Your glutes might be slightly toned. We're here for 3, for 2, for 1. Beautiful. Set the head and shoulders down. Legs straight up to the sky. This next movement is not a leg swing. So take a look at the camera for a second. What I do not want to see is this. The legs are not going over the head. What we're trying to do is get the legs to go straight up. It's going to be like an inch of movement. So arms are going to go down by your sides and take them very wide so that you have a good amount of space. Use the arms to help you as you lift the hips up. It might not be graceful. Little. Try to keep the hips over Sorry, keep the toes over the knees, over the hips. We're here for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Roll the knees into the chest, give a little rock side to side. That one's really hard. It's hard to do it right. It's hard to do it, period. You're doing great. We have a little more. Hands can come back behind the nape of the neck. This time we're going to find this like reverse tabletop situation. So stacking knees over hips, shins are parallel to the sky. Sometimes the knees want to be over the belly button, so push them further away than you think, imagining that your thighs are parallel with the wall. And then we need to get our low back to the ground again. So floating ribs come down, tuck your tail, pull the pubic bone forward, get that engagement. I know we're already working so hard. From here, I'm going to keep my head and shoulders down, but if you love core work, you are welcome to lift them for this next part. And then little steps. So the right toes come down to touch the floor and then it comes back in. I'm keeping that 90-degree bend in my legs. I'm pointing my toes so I don't have to go quite as far. And I'm most importantly, keeping this engagement of my core. My pubic bone is curling around like it's trying to touch my floating ribs. My floating ribs are trying to stay as close to the floor as they can. Make sure you're breathing though. We're here for 3, for 2, 1 more to each side. Okay, you can be done. Curl it in. Ah, my glasses just fogged up because I'm sweating so profusely. Curl the knees into the chest, rock side to side. If I didn't already say that, or you didn't just automatically decide to do that, we'll come into our little taco rainbows. So next time the knees are over to the right, roll all the way to that side. Reach both arms out straight in front of you. Bring your palms to touch. As you inhale, reach the left fingers a little further away, and then drag those fingers on the floor to draw a big rainbow up over your head, out to the side. As you exhale, the arm's going to come down by the left hip. You're in a twist. Exhale, fingernails trace the floor as that left arm comes out and up, rolling back to your little taco chicken nugget position. 3 more big circles. Thinking movement with breath here. And the next time you are in the twist, reach the left arm a little further away and settle in. Keep the left shoulder on the floor. If you need to prop up the right knee with a block or put a block between the knees, you can. Sometimes I also like bringing that right hand to the outside of the left knee. If you want a little extra, you could straighten the left leg. You can even walk the right leg back and down as if someday your left fingers could touch your right toes. 3 breaths. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, engage your abdominals to bring everything back to center. If you want to give yourself a little squeeze in the middle, you can. If you want a couple rocks, take them. Otherwise, we'll head to the second side, legs over to the left. Reach both arms out, let the head rest down. Inhale, the right fingers reach up and over. Exhale, it comes down by your low back. 3 more. Do you need more things to think about? Think about what your shoulder blade is doing. And I don't have a specific intention for it in this moment. There are lots of ways you could be moving, but just be mindful of what you are doing. Next time you are in the twist, stay, reach the right fingers a little further away, set the arm down. Any other adjustments that you know you like? Hmm. 3 more breaths. And carefully, mindfully make your way back to your back. We have enough time for a final resting pose. Some people love traditional shavasana, legs long, arms a little bit wide and down. I'm going to suggest for today a supported bridge so that we can keep working on this tuck of the tail by giving a little extra opening to the fronts of the hips. So if that seems like a good idea to you, locate at least one of your blocks. Sorry, I let you throw them away. Lock the feet pretty close to the hips. And before we press up today, I want you to find that same shape that we've been working on. So the floating ribs tuck down. I scoop my tail under, reaching my pubic bone up. I'm engaged, and then I press into the feet to lift the hips. You might not go as high. That's okay. Sliding a block on the flat setting or the second highest setting under that flat bone at the back of the hips. Once you're there, you can let the glutes soften. But energetically, think about lifting the back of your hips, like especially the tailbone, the bottommost part, up towards your knees without letting the feet leave the ground. That will give you a little extra stretch through the quads as well. Hands could be on the floor for support, hands could be on a block, or maybe you bring the hands to the hips and just kind of feel where your body is in space here. Maybe the hands come a little higher towards the belly and you can feel the breath inflating. For today, keep your floating ribs a little bit down. Sometimes in this shape, I'll puff them up and even dig my fingers underneath for a little diaphragmatic massage. But since we're working on posture, let this just be something that gives you opening at the front of the hips and not as much of a back bend. 3 more breaths. If the feet took a walk somewhere, bring them back. If your block is on anything but the lowest height, bring it down to the lowest height and take a breath there. Eventually sliding the block out. Some people really like a few moments on their backs after this before moving on. Otherwise, gentle engage of the abdominals as you roll to one side. And use the arms to press yourself up. you're taking the recording of this, I'll be so curious how it hit for you. Friends in the middle of the room, I'll talk to you as soon as I stop this recording.